What, man?
At the rescue shelter, Bruno was the dog almost no one dared to go near. He was a massive brindle Cane Corso, nearly 150 pounds, with eyes always on guard. Whenever someone came near his kennel, Bruno would growl as if warning the whole world. If anyone reached toward the bars, he would lunge forward, slamming his paws on the concrete. The shelter staff didn't hate Bruno, but they were truly afraid of him. People looking to adopt only had to look at him for a few seconds before turning away. In their eyes, Bruno was a dangerous dog, too aggressive and too broken to touch. But no one knew that behind all that anger was a heart that had just been shattered. Before he came to the shelter, Bruno had an owner he loved more than anything. He was an elderly man who lived alone in a small house at the end of a quiet road. To other people, Bruno may have looked frightening, but to that man, he was family. Every morning, Bruno walked with him to the mailbox. Every afternoon, he lay at his feet while he read the paper. And every night, Bruno slept outside his bedroom door, like a loyal guard watching over him. Bruno didn't need the whole world to love him. He only needed one person. And to Bruno, that one person was his whole world. Then one morning, the door to that little house never opened again. When rescuers came inside, they found Bruno lying outside his owner's bedroom door. He wouldn't let anyone near, not because he was mean, but because he didn't understand. He didn't understand why his owner wouldn't wake up, or why strangers had come into their home. And he couldn't understand why they wanted to take away the only person he had ever loved.
Just take it slow, we've got you.
After that day, Bruno was brought to the rescue shelter, and from then on he changed completely. He stopped trusting anyone. He only ate when no one was standing nearby. He slept facing the wall, and every hand that reached toward him made him growl. In Bruno's file, the staff wrote, difficult to approach, strong reactions, needs experience, but Deborah, the shelter manager, added one small line underneath. Not a bad dog, just grieving. Then, on a rainy afternoon, Marissa walked into the rescue shelter. She didn't ask which dog was the easiest or which one was the best behaved. She only told Deborah, I want to adopt a dog who needs a fresh start. Deborah was quiet for a few seconds, and then she immediately thought of Bruno. There is one dog here, Deborah said, but he's very difficult. His owner just passed away. Since he arrived here, he hasn't let anyone get close. Marissa didn't ask if he was dangerous. She only asked, what's his name? Bruno. The moment his name was spoken, a deep growl echoed from the kennel row. Deborah led Marissa to kennel number 7, where Bruno was lying in a dark corner. As soon as he saw them approaching, he lifted his head, his eyes tense and full of warning. Then he stood up and growled. Deborah froze for a moment, but Marissa didn't step back. She didn't move too close either. She simply sat down on the bench across from his kennel, keeping a safe distance. She didn't reach for him, didn't call his name, and didn't try to force him to trust her. She just sat there. Bruno kept growling, but Marissa didn't leave. After a long while, she gently said, it's okay, I know what it feels like to lose someone you love. Bruno froze. His growl slowly softened. Marissa looked down at her hands and continued, I'm not here to replace him. If you want, I'll just sit with you for a while. No miracle happened right away. Bruno didn't wag his tail or run to her, but he stopped growling. He stood behind the bars, watching Marissa for a long time. Then finally, Bruno slowly lay down. It was the first time since arriving at the shelter that he had lain down with a stranger nearby. The next day, Marissa came back. Then the next day. And for many days after that, each time she did the same thing. She sat across from Bruno's kennel and waited. She didn't push him, didn't touch him, and didn't ask him to change. She simply stayed, quiet, patient, and unwilling to walk away. By the 4th day, Bruno stepped closer to the bars. By the 6th, he no longer growled when she sat down. And by the 10th day, Deborah opened the gate and let Bruno into the small yard. Everyone held their breath as Bruno slowly stepped outside. His massive body made everyone tense, but he didn't charge at anyone. He didn't growl. He didn't resist. He only looked at Marissa. She was sitting on a wooden bench in the yard, her hands resting quietly on her knees. She still didn't call him. Bruno walked once around the yard. Then he slowly moved toward her. One step, then another. Finally, Bruno stopped in front of Marissa, and she remained perfectly still. He lowered his head and gently rested his large muzzle on the tip of her shoe. Marissa looked down, her eyes filling with tears. Hi, Bruno, she whispered. Bruno lifted his head and looked at her. Then he sat down. No one gave him a command. No one pulled the leash. He sat down on his own, as if he finally understood. This person wasn't here to take his memories away. This person had come to stay. 1 week later, Marissa signed the papers to adopt Bruno. The first days in his new home were not easy, but Marissa never rushed him. When Bruno startled at passing cars, knocks on the door, or unfamiliar sounds, she only spoke softly. "It's okay, Bruno, you're safe now." She didn't force him to change overnight. She simply gave him the same things every day: a food bowl placed in the same spot, a familiar walking path, and a gentle voice that was always there when he felt afraid. Then one evening, while Marissa was reading, Bruno quietly walked over and lay down beside her. She didn't touch him right away. She only smiled, as if she had been waiting for that moment. From that night on, Bruno began to change. He wasn't perfect, but he was learning to trust. He learned to sit, to wait, and to look at Marissa whenever he felt afraid. Most importantly, he learned that human hands did not always bring loss. Marissa's hands gave him food, opened the door so he could go outside, wiped his paws after rainy walks, and touched him gently when he was ready. 3 months later, Bruno was no longer the dog the whole shelter feared. He was still huge, still serious, but when Marissa said, "It's okay," he would look at her, let out a soft breath, and calm down. 1 year later, Marissa brought Bruno back to the shelter for an adoption event. When Bruno walked through those old doors, the staff could hardly believe their eyes.
They're behind me.
The dog, who once growled at everyone,
He wasn't gonna leave without them.
now walked calmly beside Marissa, his leash loose. Deborah stepped closer and softly called, "Bruno." Bruno looked at her. He didn't growl. He didn't back away. He simply sat down when Marissa gently said, "Sit." Deborah began to cry, not because Bruno had become a perfect dog, but because someone had finally been patient enough to see the real heart inside him. Bruno had once been seen as aggressive, but the truth was, he had lost the person he loved most. And when Marissa gave him safety, Bruno gave her his complete loyalty. Bruno's story reminds us that love doesn't always begin with grand words. Sometimes it begins with patience, with someone who refuses to walk away. Because sometimes the hardest souls to reach are the ones that need love the most.